Hello, my name is Greensville and I'll be showing a guide on how to play Japan. Japan is a niche nation and can be quite difficult to play for both new and experienced players. In this guide, I'll be covering half of the vehicles in rank 1. The biggest note to start with is that Japan's tanks don't really have any armor, so that means they are not designed to be hit and should not be taking a front runner spot on the battlefield. Along with, almost all of these tanks do not benefit from the standard 45-degree position to the enemy and favor more of a 20 to 30 degree angling due to exposing some of the more flat parts of their armor. Also, due to the constructional angling of most of the armor and how thin the armor is on these tanks, angling the tank does not help that much, but it does make it so machine gun fire could not penetrate you. Note, you should never face dead front in front of the enemy and should always be angling your tank to get the most out of your armor. The first tank in this guide is the Aigo Ko. This long and tall tank holds 4 crew members, all cramped in the front. The weapon system is a short-barreled 57mm gun that has access to a very bad APHE with a max penetration of 21mm and a heat with a max penetration of 55mm at any range. It also has an OK reload rate of 4.3 seconds, putting it on the slower end of most of the enemy tanks. It has a slow max speed of 27 km per hour and a not very good reverse speed of 4 km per hour. Most of the armor on this tank is 17mm of RHA, top of the hull is 10mm of RHA, and the turret mantlet is 17mm of RHA, with the turret cheeks and the commander's cupola being 15mm of RHA. The method of playing this tank is to play a mid-range sniping role due to its heat round, but also because its negative 15-degree vertical guidance. Due to its height, it will allow you to pop yourself on a hill and hit targets with less of the tank showing. The major downside of this tank is that it's long and large, so it's easy for the enemy to hit you. The Kane is smaller and shorter than the Aigo Ko and only holds 3 crew members. Its weapon system is a 37mm gun that fires an OK APHE with a max penetration of 47mm. The Kane has an OK reload rate of 4.3 seconds, putting it on the slower end of most of the enemy tanks. It has a great max speed of 45 km per hour and an OK reverse speed of 7 km per hour. The armor is quite thin, with most of the tank having 12mm of RHA, with the driver hatch being 10mm of RHA and its viewport being 9, with the thickest armor being the turret mantlet at 16mm of RHA. The method of playing this tank is to use its speed to flank the enemy or to get to a key location to ambush the enemy to hit the enemy tanks in the side or the rear of the tank. The downside is that it only has 3 crew members that are packed together, so a hit anywhere in the crew compartment would mean a knockout. The Ha-Go is a small but slightly tall tank holding 3 crew members. The weapon system is a 37mm gun that uses an OK APHE with a max penetration of 34mm. It has a reload rate of 4.3 seconds, putting you on the slower end of most of the enemy tanks. The Ha-Go has a great max speed of 48 km per hour and an OK reverse speed of 5 km per hour. The armor is mostly 12mm of RHA, with the upper front plate being 9mm of RHA and the gun mantlet being 30mm of RHA. The method of playing this tank is to get to a position and wait for the enemy to pass and to hit them in the sides or flank around and hit them in the side or rear. The downside is the armor is quite thin, so that means you're easy to penetrate. Combined with the compact crew compartment means that one hit can knock you out. The Kami is Japan's amphibious tank, meaning it can go into deep water where other tanks cannot go. It has a low profile in water, but on land it's tall and wide. The weapon system is a 37mm gun that has access to 2 good APHE rounds, the first having a max penetration of 46mm and the second having a max penetration of 57mm. The tank comes with a low-speed shoulder-mounted stabilizer, meaning that when it's in water and moving, it can aim like you're standing still on land, but with a reload rate of 5.2 seconds, makes you the 3rd slowest reload of a non-magazine fed tank. Along with its slow turret rotation rate of 8.5 degrees a second and a max vertical guidance of negative 10 degrees, means that every shot counts and you'll have trouble peeking over some hills or banks near water. It has a great max speed of 40 km per hour and a good max reverse speed of 10 km per hour on land, and an OK max speed of 10 km per hour and a good max reverse speed of 8 km per hour in water. The armor is quite thin. The front armor is 12mm of RHA, the upper front plate is 9mm of RHA, the side of the hull is 10mm of RHA, the turret mantlet is 30mm of RHA, but the rest of the turret being 12mm of RHA. The method of playing this tank is to use its speed to get to a key location to ambush the enemy, whether on on land or in water, or to get to a key location to hit the enemy in the side at medium range, as the Type 1 APHE will have no trouble penetrating any of the tanks you will face in the side. The downside is the armor is quite thin, and with the armor being mostly flat, when the vehicle is outside of water, it's quite wide, making you an easy target for the enemy to hit. The Ho-Ro is one of the most overpowered tanks in the Japanese tech tree. This open-top tank holds 4 crew members. The weapon system is a short-barreled 150mm howitzer that has access to a lackluster APHE with a max penetration of 38mm and a wonderful HE with a max penetration of 55mm at any range with an explosive mass of 7 kilograms. It has a painful 17.3 second reload time, meaning you will have to take time to aim, along with its poor plus or minus 5-degree horizontal guidance, meaning you'll have to mostly hull aim. It has a great max speed of 40 km per hour and a good max reverse speed of 6 km per hour. The armor of the Ho-Ro is not bad. 25mm of RHA for the lower front plate, 20mm and 12mm of RHA for the upper front plate at a constructional angle of 63 degrees and 80 degrees, 25mm of RHA for the lower and upper side hull, 25mm of RHA for the front of the fixed turret, and 20mm of RHA for the turret cheeks and side turret armor. The Ho-Ro, if played right, can take any role when using HE, meaning that it can snipe, flank, or be close range assist to the frontline tanks. Its round slow velocity allows you to mortar rounds, which is good for hitting tanks behind hills or light cover at a distance. Its speed will allow you to get to a position quickly, which is good for flanking or sniping. With its HE round, when fighting at its battle rating, a shot anywhere but the absolute rear of the enemy tank would mean a knockout for the enemy. Only when fighting tanks above your battle rating by at least 2 or more would you have to aim for either the side of the hull, the lower portion of the gun mantlet, the commander's cupola, the lower rear of the turret, or you can splash damage kill the tank by shooting around directly below the tank, penetrating the lower hull plate. The downside of this tank is that it's an open top, does leave you vulnerable to enemy aircraft and machine gun fire from the side or rear, but the 17.3 second reload time would leave you vulnerable to incoming tanks. Overall, these tanks from reserve to battle rating 1.3 are meant to be playing a flanking or ambush role on the battlefield. Their speed will help you get to a key position, and since all but 2 of these tanks have a max negative vertical guidance of 15 degrees, means that hills are not that big of an issue to you, and you don't have to worry too much about exposing too much of your tank to the enemy. If you like something in this guide or want to see a more in-depth look at one of these vehicles, please leave a comment. And if you liked this video or it was helpful to you, please leave a like. And if you want to see the continuation of these guides, please subscribe. As I'm a Japanese main, I will be going over every vehicle in the Japanese tech tree. Thank you for watching.